Yeah, tell me about Sharewillow.
I'll tell you about Sharewillow. How are you today?
I'm great, man. How about you?
I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. I've never been to Atlantic.
Jonathan, by the way.
Ryan, I've never
Ryan,
been
yeah.
to Atlantic City.
Ever?
Have you?
Aren't you from New York?
I live in New York I've lived in New York for 10 years and I'm from Ocean City, Maryland, which I think is kind of like a similar-ish beach town without casinos.
You never been to Jersey?
I've never been to Atlantic City. I've been to like a couple of the Jersey towns, but not
Okay.
really. Where are you from?
I'm from all the way down south, man. Montgomery, Alabama.
Montgomery,
So,
Alabama.
yeah,
Nice.
real far down south. We
Roll
got,
Tide? Are you Roll
nah,
Tide?
nah, War Eagle, man. I went to
War
Auburn,
Eagle.
so I
When,
dropped,
when'd you go? Oh, I saw that in your bio. You
yeah,
dropped out.
yeah, I dropped out.
What year were you?
2018. So a minute
Gotcha.
ago.
This guy I went to high school with was a running back at Auburn, Ben Tate, 2010. I don't know if you know him.
I'm like not a football guy,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah.
so I have no.
I'm also not a football guy.
Thank God, man. I like you even more. We haven't even started talking yet.
Cool. So Sharewillow. So I basically started this in 2023, and the idea was how do you create incentives for employees of service companies, right? And in like bigger companies, there's stock options, there's equity, there's like kind of all these things, right? But there's most of the businesses in the United States, in the world, are like these service companies, right? And I'm really more going after home services, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, but there's obviously, like for this show, right? The repair guys, anyone who's like kind of does a service, right? And the idea is that like how do you incentivize those guys to do a good job, do stuff that's aligned with the company, but also like give a shit. Because like if you're just paid by the hour, you're kind of incentivized to just like run up the clock and log more hours, right?
Right.
Or like not even necessarily like do the job fantastically. I'm gonna start using that word fantastically. Do the job correctly, right? You're more like, I'm just gonna like bang out these tickets. I got to do this screen repair, this. Um, so anyway, so I was like, there has to be a better way to incentivize them, and stock options don't make sense for like most of these service-based businesses. Like they don't care if they have like 0.1% equity, right? Like in
Especially considering they're not like exiting. Like a lot of small businesses
yeah,
are not like
yeah.
I'm selling to private equity anytime soon. So
100%, 100%. Although, like a lot of these service companies are selling to private equity
sure, yeah,
now.
that's
There's
true.
like
That's
a
true.
whole
For
like
sure. For
the
sure.
PE's going after the trades like crazy right now. So anyway, and then I was talking to a couple big businesses, like big service companies. Like I sat next to this guy Chuck Kuhn at this wedding, and he has the largest moving company in the United States. It's called JK Moving and Storage, and he does a profit sharing program, right? And I was
Interesting.
like, oh, that's interesting. And then I noticed this guy Tommy Mello, who has this like massive garage door company. He sold it for over $1 billion actually to private equity. Um, every single one of his technicians are paid with performance pay, basically like a scorecard of things that they need to do, commission, but like customer satisfaction, a bunch of other things like that. So I was like, all right, like how do you basically take kind of that idea and create a platform so that any business can like inject themselves in it, create incentives for them, and then track it in real time? Because the other thing is you have to have the data showing to the employees in real time or else it doesn't work. So like the integrations are key, the technician visibility. So I was like, this is a hard problem to solve. I think it's huge. I think it's interesting. I personally benefited from incentives. Like I joined this company in 2011, 2012, and like it ended up working and it like changed my life beyond my wildest dreams. So I was like, all right, like if that and it unlocked this like inner dog in me that I was like, I bet a lot of people have that inner dog. Like I'm pretty normal. But like when I like joined a program that like gave me this crazy upside. Like I just saw how like my entire like everything changed. So anyway, so I set out to like create a platform like that in 2023, and like it took us a little bit to get going and to like kind of figure it out. But now I feel like we're about to hit escape velocity soon. So like it's starting to really work. But anyway, that was a long-winded way to say like how we got started. I basically just needed saw that there was this massive need for it. The best companies were doing it. And I was like, how do I create a platform to make anyone be able to create this plan for themselves?
Love it. Love it. And like in your keynote, how do you think this could be applied to the majority of repair shops that are here and that are listening?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I did the keynote and I said a few analogies. So I basically I showed a picture of a tech at one of our customers, this guy Max. He works at a company called Clogbusters. He's 19 years old, but sometimes his annualized pay is like 180K. Most of his paychecks are around that, right? It varies because he's on incentive pay. And I was like, this is a 19-year-old guy from Idaho. Didn't go to college. He has cauliflower ear, right? But he's like a competitor, and he's in this system that allows him to like get the upside. And he goes in and he's like dialed, and like he doesn't take any bullshit from like any of the other techs. Like he lifts everyone up. And if you think about it, like competitors or just people like who want to win, and like they just kind of need to be in a system. So that's what, so anyway, I said that story. I also said why, the scoreboard, like imagine like playing sports and like not keeping score, right? Like, and there's different scoreboards, right? Like if you're posting to YouTube, I bet you probably look at like view count within the first 24 hours to see like, is this video performing? And you're testing things, right? Like you just want to like kind of win, and like there's a scoreboard. So I said a lot of stories like that. And I think some people in the audience, this one guy said, I didn't think I had a labor problem. He's like, but now that you say that, he's like, I actually have two guys that are like my top guys, and all these other guys that are holding us back. He's like, if I could get the other guys performing at what these two guys were performing like our business would be incredible. Like it would be transformed right now. And he was like, my son, who's one of the two guys, told me to come to this talk because he saw the topic. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. He's like, and now I'm like pretty fired up. He's like, now I really think like I do have a labor problem actually. And so anyway, I think like kind of storytelling like that, and then people can like see themselves like in the shoes um of the story. They're like, oh, that is me. I do have a big discrepancy from like my best text to my worst text. Or I'll say like, what is an incentive? It's not just commission. It's not just getting your text to sell customers like bullshit that they don't need. So like the other thing I'll say is like, what if one tech takes 4 hours to do a screen replacement repair, and it takes another guy an hour and a half? The guy for the hour and a half can flip it, do 2, 3 jobs at the same amount that it takes your 4 hour guy, right? So now you're getting more revenue, the same number of people, the same number of leads, or you might have even lost those leads because you're like, I don't have any availability. Now you free up availability. So anyway, it's like basically just showing them that like, hey, creating incentives on things that you care about. You care about how fast does it take to get it done, right? You care about, is the customer happy? Do they like it? Are they going to call you back? What's called a callback, and be like, hey, it still doesn't work. It's like my screen's still whatever. Like the audio's still not working on my, whatever. So like no callbacks. How fast does it take to get the job done? Um, can you cross sell, upsell, all those things, right? So I think people here, when you just kind of like say, hey, this is what we're doing with, other similar type companies, they're like, oh shit, like that is a problem that I'm having, where they might not have thought of it. Like they have the pain, but they're like, I'm not sure like how to articulate the pain, um, and what like solution I'm even looking for. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, I love that. So currently, what is Sharewillow's like best use case customer? Like, do you have like a use case that you're like, this garage door company joined with us and they're measuring this, this,
Yeah, yeah.
and this is what really outperformed for them?
Yeah, so I'll give you like a hypothetical customer is like a 20 truck or 20 technician HVAC company that's maybe 30 employees total, is doing $8 million a year. They're in Newport, Rhode Island. They're in Charlotte, North Carolina. They're in Atlanta, Georgia. They run calls like that, and they also have an HVAC arm, something like, or HVAC and plumbing, so they can cross sell and upsell. That's like ICP, whatever. So an actual customer, so like then an actual customer. So we have this one Blackhawk Heating and Air in Appleton, Wisconsin. They have 56 technicians. They do about $20 million a year. So and they've been around for like 20 years. So like their numbers are pretty stable. You know what I mean? I think like if you have like a 3-person team, like the numbers can vary a lot. If you're new, the numbers can vary. The numbers were pretty like locked in. They were able to increase average ticket by 10%. Not a lot, 10%, right? Going from like 900 to 990, whatever that is. But across 56 techs and 20 jobs per tech per month, that added like an extra million something a year in revenue just from the same techs increasing average ticket. And they decrease callbacks. So if you think about it, when you have a callback, you have to go, let's say I do 20 jobs, but 5 of them are callbacks. I'm only doing 15 net new jobs, right? So if I eliminate that, now I'm doing 20 net new. It's the same number of jobs, but I'm now doing 5 additional net new jobs. And that by technician times a number of technicians, like that just adds up, and those jobs might be eligible for a membership that you can then, cross sell, upsell, attach onto the job. So that's like a great example. They've added millions. This other company, I actually just did a webinar um, 2 weeks ago, this guy Ron Williams from Ocean City, Maryland. He's actually from my hometown. Randomly, he has a Benjamin Franklin franchise and a 1 hour heating and air franchise, and so he cross sell. He does like 3-4 million top line, maybe like less than 10 techs, like 5 techs or something like that. His plumbers were averaging $800 average ticket size. When he switched them to performance pay, and he's on pure performance pay, his average ticket went to $2,000. Like his plumbers, like it over doubled average ticket size. Like it was
They
crazy.
were checking the other bathrooms and like, man, this toilet's clogged too. You gotta
Yeah,
let me
yeah.
hook
So,
you.
so like that's the thing though. It's like when you're in the home, especially like if people are always like, oh, like you're just gonna sell customers things they don't want. The customers actually want it. The thing is, it's actually hard to find like a trustworthy technician. I always say like you want to be someone's guy. Like that's my guy. And once you're their guy, like you're trusted. Like, dude, do you know anyone that can like fix my dryer, like my dryer vent? And you're like, oh, we do dryer vent. Or a lot of times these franchise groups can cross sell. Like there's actually a franchise called Dryer Vent Wizard, right? And it's like owned by the same umbrella company that owns like appliance repair and like all these other things, right? So it's like once you're their guy, like they want your help, because they're like, dude, I have all these things. I just like, I'm not gonna go to Angie or Home Advisor. It's like I'm gonna like read my reviews. I'm gonna post on Nextdoor. I'm gonna post on my Facebook, but then it's like my cousin's like friend who's like kind of weird is gonna like try to like repair it. You know what I mean? So it's like once you're their guy, like they want you to fix it. So anyway, 800 to 2K. And then the other thing that I thought was cool, he had like two little like anecdotes. One was he said someone joined him just because he has incentive pay. So now it's like he didn't even like mean for this to happen, but it's helping him attract like top competitive techs from like other companies in the area that are like, I don't want an upside. Like I want to have no upside and I want to be able to like control my own destiny and make a bunch of money. So he had someone join just because he offered incentive pay, which I thought was so sick. Um, and then and then so he's starting off with just like this. So I believe it's just like the service techs, like one department, it'd be residential, and like installers are asking to move to it as well now, right? Because they're seeing like, hey, well, I see what the repair guys and the service techs are doing. Like now, like basically these other departments are like, I want that as well.
Right.
So I thought that was so cool. Those are just like little stories, right?
I
That
love
I'm
those.
hearing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love those.
But like across all those stories, Blackhawk Heating and Air increasing average ticket across 56 techs. Ron Williams going from $800 to $2,000 average ticket. Less callbacks, doing more net new jobs. Like these are just like things that happen when people are like focused on the same outcome that you want as a business, right? Because we get these business owners every day. I mean, I probably have in my phone right now someone chatting me or like pinging me, be like, "Hey, I'm looking to do this," and I'm like, "Why? Like, what's the pain that you're having? Like, I'm curious." A lot of times they're like, "Our guys take forever. They don't care. They have 3 stops on the way home." Like, they're like, "If I did the job," like the owner will say this to me. They're like, "If I did the job, I could do it in like half a day." They're like, "It's taking these guys a day and a half to do the
Yeah,
job."
they have no incentive to
and,
increase.
and so there's this huge pain of why is it just taking so long? Like it shouldn't take that long. Um, and then there's also the callbacks too. So like actually, all right. So there's two different stories here. So one pain is they take too long, right? Like or they take longer than they should in the owner's eyes, right? And by the way, if you look at the variation by technician of like how long it takes per job for the same job type, like you can see it fluctuate, by tech, especially if you have like greater than 8 techs or something like that. So like they're like it's clear. The data is crystal clear. The other thing too is what's interesting? A lot of these guys, will hear an objection of like, oh, you're just going to try to sell the customers things they don't need. But we've actually seen the opposite happen. Sometimes, and I bet a bunch of these guys are here. Sometimes there's these like prideful repair techs where it's like it would actually be in the best interest of the customer to just replace it. It's like, dude, so for HVAC systems. Sorry, I'm coughing. So for HVAC systems, the average
Need some water? I got some if you need some. Okay, cool.
the average life of an HVAC of like a heating cooling system is about 12 years, right? So there's kind of this threshold that's like based on how many years old it is. If it's a 10-year-old system and it's going to be a $3,000 repair, it's like it's past the threshold. It's like should just be a replace, right? But you get these like prideful technicians sometimes, which like I get. It's like I can fix anything, and it's like they just try to fix it. Whereas like, dude, flip that from a repair to a replace, especially in like HVAC and these other things where it's like a repair would be 1,000, 2,000, a replacement is a $15,000 system, and it comes with warranties and all this. There's kickbacks that like the shop gets from manufacturers and like rebates and all this stuff, right? So it's like so much better for the business. It's better for the customer, and but then the technician just wants to like fix it. So anyway, it's like again, if you're like not super aligned, like you'll see that, right? So you'll see like these like actions kind of happen that are like misaligned with ultimately even the customer's best interest, which I thought again, some of these things like I did not think about when I was starting this. I like I'm just learning because I'm hearing stories like every single day.
Yeah, yeah. What are so like in the examples you've given of some of the use cases, where what is the minimum data requirements, I guess,
Yeah,
for Sharewillow to be successful for a company? Because some of the shop owners listening to this might still be at the sole shop owner that's just using a spreadsheet, and this may
yeah,
not make sense. But then there's going to be other shop owners that are using
yeah,
high level data POS systems that can easily integrate with APIs.
yeah,
So, what
yeah.
kind of what's the minimums?
Totally. So, by the way, do you edit these podcasts?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Is there any way you could film like could you film a vertical video of us while we're talking for a second on my
Yeah, for
phone?
sure. For sure. Yeah, of course, man.
Okay, so uh we basically say you have to be using some type of CRM, So like for instance, in the trades, there's like the big CRMs. There's like the big CRMs. So there's like Service Titan, House Call Pro, Jobber, Service Fusion, like those CRMs. I know, like I'm actually looking at that guy's shirt right there, like my repair app or like Repair Shopper or something like
Yeah.
that with the R. So like there's those. So I think like they have to be using something because we have to get the data. Like one of the things that we found is that like having like real time data feeding into the leaderboard and the dashboard and everything is like absolutely critical. Like the technicians have to understand like how much they're making um, in near real time, right? So uh, they have to be using some type of like CRM and job management ticketing system, whatever you want to call it, work orders, something like that. Um, so we have kind of a list that we like super integrate like beautifully and nicely with, and then we'll build out like one-off integrations here and there, even and again a lot of like vertical specific software. So like in pool service, so like Skimmer is like a big CRM for pool service for remediation and like mold removal or whatever. There's like another CRM, I forget what it is. For like asphalt and paving, there's something called Foundations, right? So for like shop owners and stuff, there's that. So it's like there's so many of them, and it's like also about like data normalization. Thank you so much. You get the data kind of flowing in like a little bit like differently and stuff like that. So um that was a long-winded answer just to say like we integrate with a bunch. We don't integrate with everything, but like minimum they have to be tracking like so like here's an example. If you're
If I
doing
may, invoices, technicians assigned,
yeah,
total sales, payments received, like
correct. Yeah. And we want and we love and we prefer time tracking, right? And we're actually going to add our own time tracking because like everyone's kind of doing time tracking like differently and randomly and stuff like that. But if time tracking's in there, because then you can do time tracking applied to a job and you can start to do like labor efficiency.
mm,
The other metric with that, besides just labor efficiency, is billing efficiency. So it's like what percentage of your hours are actually billable hours versus like shop hours, like invoice, like putting in notes and stuff like that. What we found is like when you open your eyes to it, like your guys, like it's like 50%. 50%
right,
of your
right,
hours
yeah,
are
yeah, yeah.
billable, and the rest are like just
Just
kind of
wasted driving to
wastage
the
or
job,
100%.
putting in inventory.
Exactly. So when you say, hey, like we want to target like 70%, and that's the thing, by the way, of what we're doing. It's like we're creating incentives to ultimately improve these metrics to just make your business like better, more profitable,
Mm,
all of that, right? Like if your guys are now billing 70% of their hours, that's like such a huge lift, right?
mm,
If their jobs, instead of taking, 3 hours or taking an hour and a half, you get that back that you can reallocate, right? If your average ticket goes up. So if like we think of these, there's like these kind of like foundation core needle mover metrics. And it's like, if we can move those for your business, like it is going to improve massively. And that's why it's not like little gains, you know, and it's like, if you improve those big business, those big metrics that like ultimately those are kind of like the metrics that your business run on. If you can improve those even marginally, like you're seeing like, I mean, it depends on the size of the company, but with call it 5 techs, like you're seeing like hundreds of thousands of dollars in lift.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And then it translates to you might be paying a subscription fee or however the pricing model is for
Yeah.
Sharewillow. Maybe we could get into that,
Yeah.
but it's going to, the ROI on that can be huge for the ones that are actually properly tracking things.
100%. Like we need, so I like, it's all, our pricing's almost a joke. I'm a little embarrassed. It's like so low. So right now it is per technician. I also feel like with the age of AI and everything, like and ultimately with incentives, everything should be outcome focused. You know, it's like you almost shouldn't pay Sharewillow unless you see a movement in these metrics, right? That's like our promise to you, right? It shouldn't be like, who cares if my guy's using it and I have 10 people using it or 20. It's like the idea is like, I'm using it to improve these metrics. Sharewillow should only get paid when those metrics improve. And
Right.
then I want a piece of the improvement, right? So like we see some guys, you know, with millions of dollars in improvement, like I want a piece of that, you know what I mean? Because like in theory, we like helped facilitate that. And like, but also if we don't do anything, you don't see anything, like you shouldn't pay anything, like nothing happened. And it's kind of like a little like weird because there's like a human element to it, you know? So it's like if they just like don't do the things. But that's why we're also layering in like training and coaching and like I think like AI is really starting to help us with like it can monitor the plans. It's like, hey, no one is hitting this metric right here. Let's like move it up a little bit, or it's too much of a stretch goal, and it's like people are like not even going for it. You know what I mean? Because it's like too far. So like those kinds of things, what we call plan intelligence, are happening right now to kind of like monitor these plans and be like, hey, we noticed like 60% of your jobs are eligible to sell a membership or a service contract, right? But you don't have any bonus there. No one's asking. So it's like, cool, let's just add a $50 bonus if they sell a service contract. You add it. Now, hey, 40% of your eligible jobs are attaching a service contract, right? And it's like
How
happening.
ironic, right?
Yeah, yeah,
When you align the incentives, suddenly you get the outcome you want.
exactly. So I put on this quote. Charlie Munger has this quote: "Show me the incentives, I'll show you the outcome."
Yep.
And what I said is, I was like, "You're
RIP.
yeah, R.I.P. Yeah, he recently died, right?
Yeah, recently.
Yeah." Um, and I was like, I had on the slide, and I was like, "Your employees are already showing you what they're incentivized for. They're showing you the hours. They're showing you, you know, this is what I'm getting paid on. This is what I'm doing, right? So it's like kind of up to you as the business owner to decide, like, hey, what do I actually want the outcome to be, and then how do I align incentives to achieve that, to get there."
Agreed. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, that's really interesting. The idea of like, I love the concept. I've seen one other repair shop do this where they had essentially like a digital dashboard
Mhm.
on displayed in their store where they had total amount of tickets, total
Yeah,
jobs sold. Like that's a great concept. And if you could take that information and then really like make it competitive in a game like way for your employees, you could really go there. So is the application web based only? Is there an app
no,
like?
there's an employee app, and this is what I also said during my speech, and I was like, it's funny, not funny. One of like the biggest learning was we have to win over the technicians. We have to really focus on them for visibility, transparent. Like they have to understand it. They have to know how they get paid, what they get paid on, where they stand in real time. Because
Right.
without that, like it can't be a surprise, right? Like if you just get some random bonus at the end of the year, it didn't influence your behavior. You know, your behavior didn't change because of that. You're like maybe a little happy for a second when the dopamine's there, but it's like it's not anything that's actually driving behavior. So we have a mobile app for all the employees. The employees have a web login as well. But like, and we'll show the other thing that I think is really cool, like feature, is showing the employees their effective hourly rate. So if I get paid $20 an hour base, but I'm getting, you know, $1,000 in incentives divided by, you know, 40 hours for the week, my effective hourly rate is like $40 an hour.
Right.
So we want the techs thinking of themselves as their effective hourly rate. Because a lot of times people think of, oh, I get paid 20. How much do you get? They try to talk around town. Oh, you heard this new store's opening up. They're paying like 28. And you don't want the guy getting 20 base, but 40 effective to leave for 28. It's like you're already making more than 28.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So we have that in the app, and we show the employees, and we show them how it kind of like fluctuates like week to week as their metrics vary. So, but yeah, the employees can see every single one of their metrics, their effective hourly rate, total earnings. And then we're adding like this is kind of coming soon, but we're basically gonna like allow like technician payouts. We want to own all of like technician payroll and then kind of give them a card, like a kind of like a Apple Tap like debit card or whatever in the app. So it's like you can just keep the money there, pay it, use it in real time. Um, and we think that'll be like super super cool. But yeah, ultimately is to like own all of technician pay because we feel like incentive is like should be a material portion of it, and that's the thing that you're kind of calculating every single week. So it's like we should just like own all of technician pay.
Love it. Yeah, it's a great concept. If people are interested in signing up for Sharewillow,
Yeah.
can they go to a domain, or do you have a contact information, or maybe a shout out of how people interested listening to this can find you?
Yeah, go to Sharewillow. So we have tons of free resources. I used to have all these like just downloadable templates. I've now made them
All
like into these
right.
like Claude coded, like really cool like lead magnets almost that
Yeah,
you can use. But yeah, go to Sharewillow. Either
Welcome to
ask to do a
Smackdown
demo or to
on the
download a lead
boardwalk.
magnet. But yeah, do a
Right here
demo, and we can
inside
do an
the
audit with
Get
your
It
business and
Prepared
see
for
how it
Club
works.
cool, man. I'll
16.
definitely put the links in there and definitely share it with everybody, man. So
Awesome. Thank you
it's been
so
a
much for
pleasure,
having
man.
me. Yeah,
Of
yeah.
course,
Good to
bro.
see you
Of
here.
course.
Yeah.